Oh my gosh, you guys, a new article just came out literally 3 hours ago about that interview Meghan had in Vanity Fair, right when her and Harry went public. It was the one with the cover that said "Wild About Harry." It's completely discussed in detail in Tom Bower's Revenge, which I have read back and forth multiple times, so this is gonna be a really off the cuff video. You're going to hear me unfiltered. And yeah, let's get into it. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. Okay, guys, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. The article is titled Meghan Markle Livid over ex-Vanity Fair editor-in-chief Graydon Carter's bombshell betrayal. While Meghan is no stranger to harsh criticism on the internet, these comments took her by surprise. Honestly, I don't know why they would take her by surprise because it was literally written in Tom Bower's Revenge, and I'm sure she knows what's in that book. But yeah, you guys, this is insane. Okay, let's continue with the article. Meghan is livid over her latest public betrayal, which she did not see coming. Radar Online can report Vanity Fair's former editor in chief, Graydon Carter, shared personal stories about the former actress and what she was allegedly like behind the scenes when she was on the magazine's cover star in October 2017. So let's put everything into perspective. It was allegedly they met Harry and Meghan met in July of 2016. They went public October or end of October 2016. And October 2017, she has had her first public event with Harry, which was Invictus 2017. And literally, like a month after this date, will be when they announced their engagement at the end of November in 2017. So, from what I remember, Meghan was told specifically to not talk about Harry during this interview and to focus more on her philanthropy work. And supposedly she was livid when the article was titled Wild About Harry. She was not expecting that, but well, we'll get into it. Let's continue the article. According to Hollywood insider Rob Shooter, who writes on Substack, sources revealed Markle is livid about the private conversations leaked. The insider added, "These were private, behind the scenes conversations. It's appalling that after all these years, he's using her name to draw attention to his little newsletter." The latest drama for the royals started when Carter sat down with Page Six to promote his new memoir, When the Going Was Good. Okay, so we can see already this insider is definitely one of Meghan's followers because they're calling his memoir, they're calling Carter's memoir a little newsletter. And again, this guy was editor in chief. I think that's what it said, right? Of Vanity Fair. Let's continue. Before he stepped down as editor in chief in 2017, one of the last covers he worked on for the magazine had Markle on the cover, even though he had no idea who she was. He explained, "Jane Sarkin, who booked our covers, came in and said, 'We should do a cover on Meghan Markle.' I said, 'I have no idea who that is.' She said, 'She's on Suits.' I said, 'I have no idea what that is. Why should we do a story on her?' So she said, 'Because she's going to marry Prince Harry.'" So that's interesting because over a year has gone by that Harry and Meghan have gone public with their relationship, and this man had no idea who Meghan was. So she was still clamoring for fame even at this point. The article continues. According to Carter, during the interview between Markle and the reporter, she asked at the time, "Excuse me, is this going to be all about Prince Harry? Because I thought we were going to talk about my charities and my philanthropy." So okay, sorry, commentary really quick. So she called him Prince Harry? I doubt it. I doubt it. She's never called him by his full name, let alone title with full name. The article continues. Carter said of the former Hollywood actress turned royal, "This woman is slightly adrift on the facts and reality." Now, I want to remind everyone that when Meghan was talking about her charities and philanthropy, from what I remember, she retold that dish soap story. So the dish soap story is that when she was 10 or 11 years old, she saw a Procter& and Gamble commercial about I think it was Ivory dish soap, and the tagline said something along the lines of, "Women across the nation are reaching for this soap." So she supposedly this empowered her to write a letter, so she wrote a letter um, to Procter& and Gamble. I think she wrote to Hillary Clinton and whatever else in order to have this commercial changed, and then about a month or so later, the commercial was changed. So sorry if I'm, like, light on if I'm not, like, specific about the facts, but you guys get the drift. So then it all comes out that, Megan has been saying this story since she was 11 years old. Like, the biggest philanthropic work she talks about all the time is this Ivory dish soap thing, and there are other, what should I say, like, sources that have come out and said that the entire class that Megan was in wrote this letter, and I believe Thomas Markle, Megan's dad, was able to somehow get a spot for Megan on Nickelodeon to tell this story or something like that. So none of it was like legit. And she told this story to during this Vanity Fair interview, and it was never published in the article. And in order to keep it kind of hush hush, Vanity Fair really checked their sources and they could not validate this story. Okay, so according to Tom Bower's Revenge, I'm going to read you a quick quote from it. Megan would be delighted, but she doesn't want a piece about her. It should represent her as a major actor and especially as an activist and philanthropist. End passage, and let's skip ahead a little bit. And in that same passage, it says, Harry, she revealed, had only agreed to the article because, as Megan declared, the producers wanted to celebrate Suits' centenary. Okay, guys, so I got a little bit confused when talking about this. So Carter is the editor in chief, and it was Sam Kashner who was the actual interviewer. So in Tom Bower's Revenge, we hear a lot about Kashner's interactions with Megan, and it's wild. In the book, it says Kashner arrived in the pouring rain, and skipping ahead a little bit, it says Harry had ordered Meghan to maintain tight lipped silence about sensitive subjects Donald Trump, race, their relationship, and especially himself. He was not to be mentioned. And Meghan, during this interview, completely, and I would say love bombed the interviewer. She had pictures of herself all over the walls. She had books piled on the coffee table that were picture guides and history books of London. Megan actually prepared lunch for him. She baked him a cake and she darted in and out of the kitchen, and she was asking him a lot of questions. The interviewer felt that there was a reversal of roles. In Tom Bower's Revenge, Megan actually tells him, "You're not the typical journalist. I like you, especially your stuttering." So she's really trying to manipulate Sam Kashner during this interview. And I mean, when I read these passages and I've looked at this part over and over again, there is a lot of manipulation that Megan is doing with the interviewer. And I feel this is important because these types of people come off as so charming. And a lot of times, if we don't pay attention, we might reveal more information than we would ordinarily give out. It's just like how Bauer says Kashner recalled, in quotation marks, "It was a cat and mouse game," he reasoned, "and she was calculating how to take advantage of the cards played. She knows the marks she wants to hit," he thought. "She won't hit her goal by being genuine," he concluded. Later on during this interview, she kicks off her shoes, she gets all comfortable, and by her getting comfortable, she's trying to signal for Kashner to get comfortable. It's very similar to how when Megan first met her, goodness, I can't remember her. Oh gosh, I can't remember what her title was. But when she first met Gina Nelthorpe Cowan, who was hired by Megan, she opened her hotel room door in a towel. Or when we think about her first meeting with the Prince and Princess of Wales, where she answered the door in ripped jeans and barefoot. The reason she does these types of things, in my opinion, is to get rid of formality, to break walls and break barriers and create this false intimacy. And this is actually what love bombing is. It's trying to create intimacy where there is none. So Kashner, being bold, asks Meghan to talk about Harry, and Meghan says, "We're a couple and we're in love." So Meghan, I believe, got to her goal. Her goal was to talk about Harry. She was told not to, but she completely did. This was all planned. This was not an accident, in my opinion. The weird thing is, during this interview, Marcus Anderson shows up. And Meghan and Marcus are standing in the doorway talking. Meghan introduces Marcus and says, introduces Marcus, yes, to Sam Kashner and says, "I wanted you to meet some of my friends." Again, building on this fake intimacy, right? And even Kashner says that he felt played and orchestrated. And the weird thing is, too, that at the end of all of this, Meghan says to Kashner that Marcus will take him to the airport. And he says, "No, I'll take a cab." It makes me wonder what would have happened in that during that car ride, right? If you have any opinions about that, feel free to drop that in the comments. I'd love to know what you think Meghan was trying to achieve there. The interesting thing too is at the end of the interview, Kashner spends a couple of days calling people that Meghan had recommended. And one of the people Meghan had recommended is Serena Williams. And Serena said that she was just an acquaintance of Meghan's and gave an enigmatic quote that read, "You've got to be who you are, Meghan. You can't hide." Later on, after the article was published, Meghan was upset about it, and she called Kashner and said, in quotations based on Tom Bauer's book, "I'm very disappointed in you because I thought this could have been an actual friendship. I don't now think that that can happen." Why would she think this would be a friendship? See, this is just so odd. She's trying to love bomb this guy. She's trying to create intimacy where there isn't any. She's trying to make it seem like they're friends. And then she's trying to guilt trip him over what he wrote. Kashner was surprised too because this was just a blatant puff piece. Like, how could she be mad about that? So, you guys, I'm going to end it there. I was just so surprised to see this article out there. I'm going to have to buy this book and find out what is said about Meghan because I'd love to know if it's anywhere near Kashner's account. This is going to be fire. If this so I want to thank you all for listening. If this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.